And that's how you can transform a doubt into an inquiry. And once a doubt converts into inquiry, you become humble. With doubt, you become egoistic, you debate, you fight, and people who are doubting are always in a kind of a rage. But people who are in inquiry are humble, they want to know, they progress, they learn. So it all depends on how you manage that thing that comes into your mind. Okay, and now if you realize that this fifth obstacle is the most important one, so namaste and very good morning for this is our session on Sunya Talks. It's Tuesday and at 5 p.m. in India, and today our topic is to continue from where we left a few weeks back. Since things were busy, I had to skip a few Tuesdays, but we are back now live today to continue the 5 obstacles of the practice of Sunya. So we were discussing that. We finished 4 of them. We finished the sensual desire, we finished ill will, also the sloth and torpor, restlessness as worry, and today we are discussing on the most important one, that is skeptical doubt. Okay, so good morning. This is our, I think, the 5th session on this series of the 5 obstacles in our practice of Sunya. And as we saw the picture of those 5 monks who, when they are practicing Sunya, how they go through the kind of obstacles and how they have to manage, and they are not able to focus their mind. So we saw the sensual desire or sensual pleasure. We saw how it affects us because our mind keeps on getting attracted to the objects of the senses, and when that happens, Buddha has very rightly given an example of the water, which basic nature of the water is to be transparent and to help you see as it is clearly through it. And that's basically how the mind is. Mind is like the water, neutral, very transparent, but it also carries the traits depending on the situation. You see water, sometimes if it is going through the mountains, it starts flowing down, it loses its property of being still. Okay, otherwise water likes to be still, but when it interacts with different situations, circumstances, the water changes its property based on the situation and circumstances. That's why we know the state of the water is solid when it goes in a freezing or cold temperatures. That's what ice is, but it's water. When you boil it up, you see it turns into steam, vapor. When it's normal temperature, you see that it is just still. If it's in a container that's not shaking, you can see through it. But if the container is moving, you can see that even that can cause disturbances. Exactly that is how Buddha gave the example of the mind, and he said that this mind of ours has a basic nature to remain still. It has a basic nature through which you can see things exactly the way they are, without getting distracted or illusioned or delusioned with what reality is. Everybody today is living in his world that he interacts with based on his understanding of the world. He sees the world based on his mind, the state of the mind. If the mind is not stable, he sees the world shaking around, because that's exactly what the mind shows. If his mind is turbid, he sees the world turbid. So when you talk about the 5 obstacles that cause the mind to get disturbed, these are the 5 that Buddha explained. And they were sensual pleasure, the first one, where he said that the water is colorful. So that's how senses are. The eyes love to see beautiful things. The ears love to hear beautiful things. All these beauties and everything, they keep our senses attached to the subject. And then we are not able to focus on the basic stillness of the mind. And the mind keeps on wandering here and there. Then the second one he said is ill will. Ill will basically is like boiling water. Okay, there's nothing, but because the water keeps on boiling, the bubbles within it, it disturbs the basic nature of the water. And that's exactly the mind is when the mind is going through a lot of feelings, we hatred, anger, all those things, they kind of create bubbles or a boiling effect in your mind, and you cannot see things clearly. That is why we always tell a person who is angry, who is sad, to calm down and then see things clearly. Otherwise, many people in their anger can destroy themselves more than they destroy others. So we always say that ill will is not the right way to stabilize the mind, and it can become a hindrance for sure. Then we also learned about sloth and torpor, both the body and the mind, the state of that. And very nice analogy given by Buddha was a pool of water which is still, but now because it's not moving, nothing is happening, it's now covered with all the algae and all the moss and all the grass that's growing within it, because of which its basic nature and transparency is lost. So again, not doing anything also can result in your mind losing its basic nature of being able to help you see things clearly. Then we also saw restlessness and worry, like the waves of the water. Because of all the anxiety and all the expectations we have from life, our mind keeps on churning these waves, which does not let us see things clearly. We always jump into the past or into the future. And this jumping around, these waves that our mind goes through, does not help us to be focused in the things that we want to do. And we keep on having this anxiety and worry constantly. So these things we definitely turn out to be the obstacles in your practice of Shunya. So you want to do 9 to 0, you want to do 29 to 0. But when these obstacles come in, you're not able to do that, because your mind will waver towards those obstacles, taking you away from you focusing on the act that you're supposed to do. That's counting in a reverse order. Today, we are going to study the last one, and the most important one is skeptical doubt. Now, you should understand, why are we saying skeptical doubt? Now, doubt itself, you look at the picture of the monks, you see the monk that's actually more stable and more still is the one with the question mark. He is the one with all the questions. Do you think this person is meditating? No. He is actually holding on to a thought, and he is now doubting his own practice, his own engagement. When you go into an act, okay, if you go with doubt, you already are not performing your act, because doubt is what is being there. You are in the process of analyzing things, you're in the process of judging things, and this itself is going to be a big hindrance in your practice. That is why Buddha gave an analogy here of the muddy water. Now here you have to understand, why did Buddha give the analogy of muddy water? Because water basically flows through mud, but when it has itself, the whole substance on which it is flowing as its own content, you see the water loses its transparency, and hence the muddy water, okay, turns out to become the basis on which the person's ability to see things clearly is not there. So skeptical doubt. Now let's understand these two words, skeptical and doubt. Who is a skeptic? A skeptic is a person who has this conditioning. Maybe he's programmed to doubt. Many a times a person who has this scientific inquiry nature, has a nature to inquire things, to know things, he starts accumulating a lot of knowledge. Everything that he acquires becomes his medium, that he knows something. Now with this, the person, a skeptic, basically starts doubting everything around. Now that's where a skeptic is the one who has acquired understanding and knowing. He holds on to it and uses that as the means on trying to know something else. And because he does that, his inquiry is no more an inquiry, it becomes a doubt. And that's where doubt basically is something that a person does not believe in, because he has already something to believe in, and he sees something or he's told something to do, he suddenly starts doubting it. So when we started our Shunya practice, okay, forget anybody else, even me, when Dr. Lim introduced me to the Shunya practice, 9 to 0, and the swinging of the hands, the raising of the hands, I had my own doubts. I said, hey, I know so much about meditation, I've been practicing so long, and just this guy just comes out And he tells, it's so simple, you can do it in 4 steps, and then you do your reverse count. And I said, my God, I was busy believing that it's through chanting, it's through visualizing, it's through observing, it's through imagining that I would be able to achieve that state of stillness, of peace. Because I used to love that, when I used to sit for hours, I used to love, chanting. I used to love watching and hearing to the sounds around. I used to just close my eyes and imagine it, the kind of a light or something, or maybe go with the thoughts of the past, the pleasurable moments, or have a hope towards the future. That is how I used to practice. And that I thought was good because it used to relax me. But when suddenly Dr. Lim teaches me that no, that's not the meditation, that's imagination. That's a different state. And what you need to do if you want to meditate, you need to do this particular act of reverse counting so that you can focus your mind and there should be no more thoughts. And I had my doubts. The doubts were because I knew something and now I'm being told something that I don't know. Now when I have doubt, the only way is I resist this. So many people, when you introduce Sunya to them, they might resist or not even accept because they think they know something and they don't allow this new thing to come and have space within them. It's like the Zen story where a monk who is running his monastery has a guest. A Westerner comes to him. He wants to learn a lot more about Zen and the practice of Zen. So he knocks the door and he's allowed to come in, and the monk asks him to sit down and then takes a cup, and he pours tea in his cup and also in his cup. So again he puts in his cup and his cup again. And afterwards he keeps on pouring, the tea in the guest's cup for a longer time. Even though the cup was full, he keeps on flowing, putting it starts overflowing out. The guest, he suddenly says, hey, what are you doing? The cup is already overflowing. Why are you filling it up more? So he says, exactly. That is what happens when a student like you comes to me. You already come with all your filled ideas about Zen. How can I teach you Zen? Because Zen is nothing. And if I teach you something, you already have something filled with it, and I will not be able to teach you. So exactly when you meet somebody or you yourself are introduced to Sunya, you should always understand that Sunya has basically nothing that you need to compare with. It's only an experience that you have to go through personally. So the practice of Sunya is where you have to experience itself before making a judgment. That is why we always say, if you know something and you try to want to know something, you will always have a doubt because you know something. But when it comes up to you don't know something, you have no idea of it, and you are humble enough to accept this knowing, you will always be an inquirer. You see, we call all the mystics, all the people who want to go out to explore, we call them these people who inquire into the mystic, the whole world around. They are like the people who are explorers. They explore. They don't know anything. They want to know, right? But in today's world, everybody knows everything. And because they know everything, they doubt everything. Because everything around here is ever changing. And so, when it comes up to doubt, doubt becomes a major hindrance, even to start your journey. Okay, so very, very important. Now you would be thinking, this is, okay, we understand this. How does that become an obstacle in my practice? When you sit down to practice and you do 9 to 0, and when you do 9 to 0, it's sounds pretty easy, sounds pretty simple. But when you practice, you might miss a number here and there. You might realize, oh, okay. But when you realize that this missing is something that is the reason I'm not able to focus my mind, your journey of self-doubt is now getting over. Unless you practice, it will not get over. So very, very important. Doubt can be momentary. You can doubt on things and you have an experience and your doubt is gone. In India is a land where people were taught in different ways, Now let me tell you about, You know, when you talk about India, you always talk about magic, right? The magical land. So there was a documentary done some years, 1944 or something, is in the British archives, and it talks about the magicians of India. And it would be fun to watch these documentaries, so you understand how people in doubt were made to realize that you cannot only believe what you know, because the world outside is magical. And these magicians were kind of indirect teachers. You made you remember that what you know is not the ultimate truth. Okay, they can fool you, they can cheat you, and they can make you full of doubt. And that's exactly what you will see. So let me play this video. So can we play that video?
Step this way, ladies and gentlemen, and see how the hand is quicker than the eye. As far back as history goes, we find that conjuring and magic tricks have always fascinated human beings of all ages and of all classes. Little boys and big boys, young boys and old boys with long whiskers, even little girls, stare wide-eyed at the magician when he is performing tricks. Watch this Arab faker now, and see if your eyes are as quick as his hand. Here he is, right out in the open, where he can't have any trap doors or mirrors or trained confederates to help him. I tell you, he's got to be good. Now, how on earth did he get all those flags into his mouth at the same time? You tell me. You know, I think they ought to send him to the Geneva to do some ballyhooing for the League of Nations. Say, his mouth must be like the subway, always room for one more. Now what's he up to? Oh, I see. He's showing us how to reduce the high cost of living by getting eggs without having to buy them from the grocers. I calls it unfair competition, I do.
Unless we see it, we won't believe it, right?
Famous trick of all, the mango trick. The faker shows us a mango seed. He places it in a little pile of dirt. And he waves his magic wand in circles. Then he covers the little pile of dirt with a cloth and jabbers a lot of hocus pocus dominos or something like that. This is one of the most popular tricks in the East. Every traveler to India has seen it and been mystified, just as I was. It's always performed in the open air without the help of any apparatus. And when the cloth is removed, we have a live, fresh young mango plant, 18 inches high, roots and all. Explain that one if you can. I can't.
Okay, so you see, when the reason is now.
There is no deception in this trick. It's just one of the...
Going back to understanding, now you understand why India had all these magicians and people used to laugh at the land where, so many magicians. Actually, they were teaching us that what you believe, what you see, what you think is not the ultimate truth. Give some space for something else to have a chance and witness that through an experience. And that's what is exactly what we are trying to tell people here. That Sunya is a practice that you need to practice, and only through practice you will realize. Otherwise, holding on to your ideas and concepts and beliefs and saying that that is the only way will not let you practice Sunya. So Sunya is very much an experiential practice. You cannot talk much about it because there is nothing much to talk about it. Also, if you look at the ancient, scriptures in India, they used to talk about how a mind tries to analyze and assume things, suppose you're in the dark, and you don't know, or you see something lying on the road and you think, is this a rope or is it a snake? Okay, and we don't know because we just keep on looking at it. We doubt what is it, and because we don't know, we have to either react, because if it's a snake, I better run away, and if it's a rope, I don't need to run away. But because I don't see things clearly, I don't understand it clearly, I am fooled. So doubt comes in because I know, and this knowing is where everything starts happening, So you should, when you know something, you should also let others or other things in your life give an opportunity for them to come through to you, so that your knowing and what you're going to think, doubt. It's because of doubt that somebody is going to cheat somebody. We all go into agreements. It's doubt that actually causes all these things. So in a way, doubt can trigger kind of anxiety, fear, but there is a way you manage it. Once an agreement is done, the doubt is over. Now you know that there is a way in which you bind yourself. But what would you do between a husband and a wife if the husband keeps on doubting the wife and the wife keeps on doubting their husband? That has no solution, because that is only and only based on trust. So faith comes when there is no doubt. And that is why all the scriptures, all the religions in the world ask you to have faith. And we also tell in Sunya that to know the potential of how and what a still mind, a focused mind can do, is to have faith in the practice and keep that practice going on for some period of time. People practice a few months, maybe a few weeks, even a few years, and then they let go. They see, oh, nothing is happening. But no, they've missed the big thing, Doing it over a period of time consistently. Imagine doctor after 30 years of, almost not 30 years, almost 50 years of practice. After 50 years, he tells us what exactly he did for 50 years. We haven't even given 5 months, 5 years, and we want to see the magic behind it. It is not possible. So even though, as Buddha said, 7 years maximum, 7 months, 7 days, okay, or 7 weeks or 7 days is what you can see the results maximum within. So you need to understand that your doubt will never let you explore something that you want to. Your hesitation, your inquiry should be towards knowing, and that's very, very important. So we have in India a very famous story on Ramayana, and it's talked about how Rama was exiled. So if you see on the picture here, Kaikeyi used to love Rama. She was his stepmother, but Kaikeyi was having a servant who, this servant called Manthara, was the most loving one, and she used to love Kaikeyi a lot. And Kaikeyi had a son called Bharata, and so when Rama was supposed to take in the throne as the eldest in the family, Kaikeyi's son Bharat, who was the younger one, would not get anything. So Manthara creates a kind of a doubt in Kaikeyi's mind, saying that what happens, in future if your son is tortured, troubled, he will not have anything, he will suffer so much. What happens if the king, that Rama, he is not able to treat him well? Do you want your child to suffer? No. Then why don't you fulfill the wish that you've been asked by the king and exile Rama? And that's how Ramayana starts, and Rama goes into exile. So you see how a doubt, a simple doubt because of a futuristic expectation, can lead into so many people's problem. At the end, she did realize that what she did was wrong, but by that time it was too much time had passed away, and the whole Ramayana happened because of this little doubt that came into Kaikeyi's mind. Not only that, we have another very famous story called of Mahabharata, wherein the Kauravas are engaged with the Pandavas. They are brothers, they are of the same family clan. But one character that you see on the screen is called Shakuni. The name itself is Shak, means in Indian language, in Hindi means, Shak means doubt. And he was the king of that. So Shakuni was the one who could create any kind of doubts in the elder son of Kauravas, that's Duryodhana's mind. And he did not do it once. If you see, Manthara did it once, but he used to do it quite often from his childhood till Duryodhana became elder. Keep on feeding him doubt and doubt and doubt. Never let him have belief and trust that the Pandavas, his own brothers, were all good. The life will be good. There is no need to fight. But instead creating a kind of hatred, ill will between those brothers, and making sure that they went into war and fought each other. So you should understand that this particular doubt has always been an issue and reason for more wars that have been fought. let's go back to a very famous book, the Bhagavad Gita, in which Arjuna and Krishna are going into a conversation. And we know the whole Bhagavad Gita is a conversation because Arjuna, now in the battlefield, before we are about to start the war, he is suddenly having a doubt. A doubt is an emotional one, that why would he fight against his own people? And that's where Krishna has to remind him that he has to do his duty as a warrior. So that was a session where there was conversational way in which you handle the doubt. So looking at the three stories, we see when Manthara's doubt was proven to be wrong, or you can say that the doubt that Manthara created, Rama had to go through the 14 years of exile, and then they realized. Okay. Second one, when you saw the one in Mahabharata, when Shakuni created doubt, it ended up into war with all of them dying, and that's where we realized it was just a doubt. They were good people. The Pandavas would have definitely taken care of the Kauravas too, and they could live in harmony. And third is when Krishna in the Mahabharata itself is addressing Arjuna on the field, on the spot, in clearing his doubt. And that's when he goes back to action. So we should understand that there is a way. If you seek help, if you have a doubt, turn that doubt into an inquiry. Turn that doubt into a situation as if that you don't know, and you seek help from somebody who knows. And that's how you can transform a doubt into an inquiry. And once a doubt converts into inquiry, you become humble. With doubt, you become egoistic, you debate, you fight, and people who are doubting are always in a kind of a rage. But people who are in inquiry are humble, they want to know, they progress, they learn. So it all depends on how you manage that thing that comes into your mind. Okay, and now if you realize that this fifth obstacle is the most important one, because as soon as you see the muddy water in your mind, you see that the mind has turned into like the muddy water, and I cannot see through clearly, even if I'm doing so many things. I'm trying to, but my whole water, my mind is full of mud, doubt. It will never happen. That's where you should realize that let the mud settle down. Let me now practice. Let me experience. Turn my doubt into an inquiry. Start the whole process, and you'll realize how beautiful Shunya is, how organized Shunya is, and how systematically it will help you achieve a state of complete calmness and help you see things clearly, so that you can achieve the results that you expect your mind to achieve by staying focused and not getting distracted with all the thoughts that come along. So very, very important. And this brings us almost to the end of our 5 episode series on the 5 obstacles of Shunya. And I hope if you realize that the most important one was doubt. Never ever have doubt on the practice of Shunya. Keep practicing, have faith, and you will see with only one thing, if you take this particular doubt out, the other 4, restlessness and worry, your sloth and torpor, your ill will, your sensual pleasures, all these automatically can be managed. But it's very difficult to manage doubt, because for doubt, there is no solution. The only way is to humble down and convert doubt into an inquiry. Okay, and that brings us almost to the end of our session. Thank you so much, and see you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.